How much do you know about polar bears? I'm sure you've seen pictures of a polar bear standing on a floating block of ice and may have wondered how they ended up there. Many of us may know that the main reason they are on blocks of ice and not a solid mass of ice is due to climate change caused by humans. In addition, the images of their lovely faces stranded on ice blocks smaller than their bodies make us feel a sense of guilt. But feeling guilty is not enough for people to take action, because it is hard to imagine how the decreasing population of polar bears is related to our lives. So I'm here to tell you what is really happening. First, I want to talk about how polar bears are becoming endangered species due to global warming. Second, what happens if we neglect this issue? And third, I will suggest some actions we can take. First, it is estimated that there are only 22,000 to 31,000 polar bears left in the world. At a recent international meeting, scientists and experts claim that two-thirds of the world's polar bears will be gone by 2050. The first international conference on polar bears was held at Fairbanks, Alaska from September 6 to 10, 1965. But at that time, the primary purpose was not about climate change at all. Instead, they focused only on the hunting of polar bears and other human activities such as oil exploration in the Arctic. As agreements and regulations have increased worldwide, these activities have decreased significantly. But as global warming rapidly grows up, another critical threat to polar bears has occurred, that is, global warming. Sea ice is a vital part of polar bears' life. They rely on it to access their primary food source, seals, and rest and breathe. Reports by the World Wildlife Fund tell us that Arctic sea ice cover is sinking by 14% per 10 years because of climate change. As a result, we have lost about 770,000 square miles, and that is an area larger than Alaska and California combined. Now, we know how polar bears are affected by climate change. Then, I will explain why we have to protect polar bears. First, did you know polar bears are keystone species? Keystone species are animals that keep biological populations in balance, a critical component to a functioning ecosystem. Let's make it simple. Polar bears almost exclusively eat seals. But if they cannot hunt for that food source due to lack of sturdy ice, they will quickly move on to hunting other animals. This could threaten the existence of other Arctic species like the Arctic fox or the walrus. On the other hand, the seal population will grow because more will live longer and reproduce more. That means the seal's food source, mainly fish, will shrink drastically. And you know, fish are an essential food source for local humans and other Arctic wildlife. Contrarily, the predators who rely on seals as a food source, such as killer whales and sharks, increase their numbers as the seal population goes up. In a nutshell, the food chain and ecosystem will lose their balance. Doesn't it feel close yet? Well, I think people tend to believe polar bears are not that connected with them, as long as they don't live in the city where polar bears inhabit together. But polar bears are not cute and lovely animals anymore when they invade people's communities looking for food while starving. Polar bears are troublesome and dangerous predators to local residents facing them in front of the doors. WWF said they have helped local people by providing steel food storage containers so that polar bears cannot open them by themselves, and electric fences to separate bears from dogs, but the damage from polar bears has increased gradually.
But one Manitoba woman has. She was mauled by a polar bear on her way home from a party last month in Churchill.
According to the article published by The Guardian, Erin Green from Montreal got mauled by a polar bear during traveling at Churchill. She was alive thanks to a local man's immediate help, but she is suffering trauma even now.
I didn't necessarily feel pain, I just felt terror,
and get help. Her toque hides the scars. The bear ripped off most of her scalp and tore 3 arteries.
Polar bears are connected to local residents' basic economic activities. Tourism of polar bears is one of the main jobs they make a living. But if polar bears are extinct, people will not seek architecturalism. And it is no wonder that related field workers lose their jobs. Plus, polar bears have played an important role in indigenous people. They have hunted polar bears for food and clothing to make themselves stay warm for thousands of years. In these indigenous people to lose their resources not only for food, but also for clothes, which are the necessities for their life. Needless to say, traditional cultures. So, how to help polar bears and people living with them from climate change? Here are some small things we can start easily to help them from global warming. First, use car less. Work. Or take public transport whenever possible. Second, use energy-efficient light bulbs. These are available in most household stores. In college, tell your parents and teachers and your friends to buy them. Third, recycle more and avoid products that have lots of packaging. Fourth, turn off electric devices when you're not using them. If you want to be a hero of polar bears directly, go to the website of WWF and give a donation one time or monthly.